The latest studies on the Sphinx of Giza are finally dispelling the idea that this enormous statue was carved by order of the Egyptian pharaohs of the 4th dynasty. The latest petrographic and environmental examinations of the Sphinx indicate that it was built long before the age of the pharaohs, perhaps even many millennia earlier. Let us briefly summarize the main points. The original Sphinx is not Egyptian, nor did it represent a lion. The classic Egyptian headdress, the paws, and the lion's tail are parts added later by the Egyptians. This study was carried out by scientists of the Sphinx RCE project, the results of which were kept under wraps for about 30 years. The original Sphinx was instead a simple parallelepiped without legs, without a tail, and with a head on the edge. Evidently, the original Sphinx was carved by someone who predated the pharaohs. The rock of the Sphinx is the same as that of the temple of the Sphinx. It follows that both the Sphinx and the temple of the Sphinx were built at a similar time, based on a new dating method, which tells us how long a rock has been standing in a given location. We now know that the stones of the temple of the Sphinx have been in that position since at least 3100 BC. Plus 540. The Sphinx therefore predates the pharaohs of the 4th dynasty in any case. The Sphinx was carved in a pit, several meters below ground level. In fact, originally only the head of the Sphinx was visible, emerging from the sand, while the rest of the body was under the sand. Today, we can only see the body of the statue thanks to the excavations carried out. The dream stele of Thutmose IV tells us that the Sphinx was in that condition already some 3,500 years ago. For almost 5,000 years, the Sahara has been a desert. If the Sphinx had been carved during this time, the desert sand would have immediately covered the trench, making the work impossible and even useless. The engineers would have realized immediately that they were building an invisible statue which would have been continuously covered by sand. The only alternative to this fatal error is to assume that when the Sphinx was sculpted, the sand was not there. This logical and obvious conclusion shifts the construction of the Sphinx to when the Sahara was green, full of animals and plants. This period is known as the African Wet Period and occurred between 5,500 and 14,500 years ago. That is why, putting aside prejudices and archaeological beliefs, and letting exact sciences such as geology and physics speak for themselves,